I started out as an accountant. All my life, I said I wanted to be an accountant.
Oh, wow.
And the funny reason is because when I was young, my uncle took me to his bank's Christmas party and they had lots of gifts. And I was like, I need to work in a bank. So that's how I started my journey in accounting.
Wow.
And I happened to be really good at it. So became a chartered accountant really early on. Got a chance to work at Deloitte, a great accounting firm.
Mm-hmm.
But I think after a little over a year, I realized that I wanted something more impactful. And that's what got me into the development space. It's just been a journey where when I find that there's a yearning in my heart for more, I take the steps to make it happen.
Wow.
I think that first one where I transitioned from being in a very fast-paced audit firm into going into development. I started out as an intern at that moment, and they were giving me very rudimentary work, and it just wasn't challenging for me. So I got really bored. But I think over time, I started to learn this space, and I showed that I had the willingness to do more. And so they started giving me more. But I'm such a fast learner that over time, I still got bored. And then I left. I left away to get my master's in forensic accounting. And I never expected in my life that I would get that much time to spend with my child. I just figured it would be one of those things where after 6 months, I would hand her over to a nanny and hop back into work. So it was a big shift in my mental space. And then obviously in terms of my independence, I went from being the boss lady that had lots of money in my account to having to ask my husband for certain things. And it was a struggle. My ego took a big hit.
Hello, welcome to the Development Conversations podcast. It is really good to have you here. And as always, I am your host, Toby Ransomed, and today we'll be talking about a very interesting topic, and we also have a guest. As you all know, the development context is very interesting in quotes right now. There has always been changes in the scene. So it's either we have limited funding or insecurity or change in the terms of reference of our work. Just so many things happening. At one point, we were struggling with COVID-19 and every program or project had to think about how they would pivot and ensure that, they were still meeting the needs of the participants or the beneficiaries we're working with. I personally went through that when I managed an education project across 3 states in Nigeria, Northeast Nigeria to be precise. But one thing that we hardly talk about or that we also hardly bring to the front is how personal challenges or transitions or even pivots affect our lives and how we can, manage them or maneuver through them and still remain impactful in our work and all round. And so today, our topic is going to be about managing transitions, detours, and pivots in the development sector. And I have no other than Nana Hauwa Ndirpaya. Did I get the pronunciation?
Yes,
I should.
did.
That's my language. It's really, really nice to have you here. You're welcome.
It's my absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm just going to read a bit about Nana Hauwa. She's a faith-based social entrepreneur and advocate for safe, thriving communities. She's also the founder of Free to Become. She works to prevent intimate partner violence by equipping individuals, faith leaders, and communities with the tools to foster healthy relationships. With a deep passion for empowering women, she also leads the Detours project, a community empowering women to align their lives with God's purpose. Through her work in education, advocacy, and leadership development, Nana merges faith and social impact to drive lasting change. She's also the host of the Choosing Well series and the creator of faith-centered resources, including a devotional that has been launched. So we had the launching sometime in February. Yes, that was February 20th. I tell you, if you haven't gotten the devotional or you haven't heard about it, you should lay your hands on it. Personally, I have been blessed blessed by it. And also, she's working on an upcoming book, Marriage the Way God Designed. My goodness, Hauwa, you have such a full resume or CV and time. And I also like to add that Nana is married with 2 amazing children, and she's married to an amazing man, of course. So Nana, it's really, really good to have you here once again. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
I am sure our dear listeners and audience around the world, you're looking forward to see how this conversation is going to, we're just going to navigate these conversations. But before I go on, I'm going to ask you a few rapid fire questions.
Okay, let's do it.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Really?
Yeah.
So what time do you wake up in the morning?
I wake up when my kids wake up, but I'm usually up till like 3 a.m. sometimes working.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So how do you remain productive?
I just have to. There's no choice, because during the day it's really hard for me to get anything done because of the kids. So when they go to sleep, then I get to work.
Wow, well done. Okay, so what's one word that best describes your career journey so far?
Intentional.
That's interesting. Yeah. Don't worry, guys. We're going to go deeper into this. And then what's one thing that you always have in your bag?
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know, sunglasses.
Okay, that's good. Then one last question. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, I don't really have one because I don't... Oof.
When last did you karaoke?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. It's probably 10 years now. I don't know any songs. Sorry, guys.
Okay, it's fine. Maybe we should plan a virtual one soon.
Yeah,
that would be so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So let's get into it. Can you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, I was thinking about this question and it's a really tricky one. But I would just say that I am a woman that is passionate about living a life of impact, a life of intentionality. I'm just really committed to making sure that the life that I live actually leaves a good legacy. And I do that in different ways. You've mentioned some of them, but the key ways is by my writing, my speaking, and then just raising the family that God has given me.
That's really amazing. I love it. So, do you have or have you had any defining moments in your career where you had to navigate a major transition? And has there been also unexpected transitions that you've had to go through?
Yeah, so I feel like I've had lots of transitions in my career because I started out as an accountant. All my life, I said I wanted to be an accountant.
Oh, wow.
And the funny reason is because when I was young, my uncle took me to his bank's Christmas party and they had lots of gifts. And I was like, I need to work in a bank. So that's how I started my journey in accounting.
Wow.
And I happened to be really good at it. So became a chartered accountant really early on. Got a chance to work at Deloitte, a great accounting firm. But I think after a little over a year, I realized that I wanted something more impactful. And that's what got me into the development space. So I say intentional in the sense that it's just been a journey where when I find that there's a yearning in my heart for more, I take the steps to make it happen.
Wow.
So I think the biggest transition that I've had is shortly after I had my baby, my first child. I decided to take a break and I thought it would just be for a year. So when I took the break, I just really enjoyed spending time with my daughter. But that break is still ongoing. This is she's 3 years old now. But it took me through a really interesting journey of learning myself again as outside of my professional career being an accountant. So it let me just really take stock of who I am and who I wanted to be and gave me the opportunity to craft a life, a path that's unique to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is very interesting. So what motivated you to accept the change?
Yeah, so I'm a Christian, I'm a believer, and I'll tell you that it was the Holy Spirit that put that desire in my heart when I was still pregnant with my daughter. And the first time I heard that voice, I was like, what? No way. I've been working my whole life since I was 17 in university, and I thought that's how it would always be. But when I heard that voice, I struggled quite a bit. I remember speaking to my husband, and he thought, that's crazy. But I think over time, I kind of got into, okay, let's just try it out and see. Because when I had my baby, I was still working. She was 1 month. And it was so stressful trying to meet the deadlines. You know how hectic it can be in our space. It's so challenging, so demanding. And my daughter was crying over there, and I was like, okay, and let me just finish. Let me just meet the deadline. And it just, what am I doing? It felt like I was selling my daughter's time for money. And money is good. I like nice things, but there's some things that are more important. So I think that really was like a wake-up moment for me. Okay, let's take a deep breath and let's take a step back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. So I think, when you were talking, I was like, so were there like unexpected challenges along the way or benefits in the transitions you have experienced? Because you talked about the role transition from working full-time, first of all as an accountant, and then moving into development space. And then you stopped working to attend to your daughter, and also having a child, and I'm sure also getting married.
Yeah.
So were there like unexpected challenges or even benefits when you experience this different level of transitions?
Yes, thank you. So I think that first one where I transitioned from being in a very fast-paced audit firm into going into development. I started out as an intern at that moment, and they were giving me very rudimentary work, and it just wasn't challenging for me. So I got really bored. So I guess I would say that was one of the first challenges. It's like, can I get something more interesting to do? But I think over time, I started to learn this space, and I showed that I had the willingness to do more. And so they started giving me more. But I'm such a fast learner that over time, I still got bored. And then I left. I left away to get my master's in forensic accounting. And then I came back and got into a different program that I felt was more challenging. So I guess the downside was that at the beginning, it took a while for me to find a way to allow myself be challenged. But when I pushed through it and showed my willingness, that it gave me the benefits of, stepping into different roles and learning different things. In terms of like the big transition from like being in a fast space or demanding space in the development space, especially after COVID, you know how it was working from home, no timelines, everything, you were working all the time. But to like just waking up and just taking care of my child alone, I think the challenge was, it almost felt like I lost a sense of myself because I'd been working for so long. And it felt like everything I was doing was about my daughter. And I never expected in my life that I would get that much time to spend with my child. I just figured it would be one of those things where after 6 months, I would hand her over to a nanny and hop back into work. So it was a big shift in my mental space. And then obviously in terms of my independence, I went from being the boss lady that had lots of money in my account to having to ask my husband for certain things. And it was a struggle. My ego took a big hit. But it's been such a rewarding journey in the sense that it gave me time to pause. A time I never would have had if I didn't stop. And all these things that you mentioned about me, I wouldn't have been doing them if I didn't take that time. So it's been very rewarding. But I think that every high reward comes with a lot of shifts, a lot of hard times that you kind of have to push through. Because I found that in this life, no one's going to give you anything. That's just the honest truth. Even if you've been given a gift or responsibility or... I don't know the best way to put it, but you're always going to have to fight what it is that you want. You're going to have to push through.
Wow. I'm just sitting here and I'm thinking, the weight of the shifts and the transitions. And you have the ones that you intentionally took, because one of the things you mentioned earlier was being intentional about your transitions. And something stood out. One of the things that stood out to me when you were talking was that when you moved from working in an accounting firm to the development space, and you started from being an intern, how did you navigate that, especially the inner work, right? What headspace were you in? Moving from Big Four, accounting firm and then coming down to work as an intern, also putting in mind how you'll be treated as an intern is different, the reduction in your responsibilities, and then also just navigating motherhood and not working, moving for someone that earns and all. What headspace were you in, and how did you manage all that? And then, you still kept on showing up.
Yeah. Thinking about it, I realized that when all of those things were happening, I was really, really hard on myself because it felt, like you said, a downgrade. So the first one where I switched from Deloitte to being an intern, I think what really helped me was knowing that I wanted to be in that space. I had tried the audit lifestyle. I didn't like it. I knew that there was something missing. And so when I was given the opportunity to interview for the internship, I took it. And I remember they gave me the interview questions and I thought, this is peanuts. They had a mistake on it and I was like, look, this is it. There's a mistake on here, and they laughed, and every time I would go into work, they would laugh at me and say, oh, you're the one that, pointed out the mistake. But I think just knowing what I wanted, I wanted to try it out and see. And it was boring at first, but the more that I showed that I had initiative, the more that they saw that there was a willingness and that I actually had the brains to back it up, then they started to open up doors for me and give me more responsibilities. So I think just having the end goal in mind really helps. Obviously, during the middle bit, I always tell people during the middle bit, it feels really sucky. Yeah. But just push past it. Because now that I'm looking back, I'm like, I did really well, actually. For the motherhood bit, it was a big blow to my ego. I'd been making money for a while. At that point, I was even earning on a daily rate. So it was a lot of money. I was comfortable. I'd set up my lifestyle and my home in a way that, we would go shop different. I had a good life, And so it went from like having lots of money to not having much. Having to check with my husband to say, oh, can I buy this? Can I do this? And he was really nice and he's a wonderful man. But the fact that I had to ask. Oh my goodness.
It's not even about the response you get. It's just basically that I'm asking.
It was really hard. But I think what really helped again in that state was knowing that this is what God had asked me to do. And that's what it has kept me through so many things. So we haven't talked about this transition yet, but when we moved out of Abuja, for instance, there was lots of opportunities on LinkedIn for me to apply for accounting jobs. And my husband would push me and say, apply. And there are some I would apply for. They won't even answer me. I will go and look at people that I graduated in 2010, my first bachelor's, and I'll see people that graduated 10 years later. They have the role. I'm like, what's going on? So it was very humbling, but I think it was a process that I needed to go through. And then just remembering that I didn't start this journey on my own.
Yes.
I did it in response to a calling that God had put in my heart. So when things were not working out the way that I expected, in line with how God has even led my life, I've always been a child of favor. So it didn't make any sense that I'm applying for these roles, I'm not getting it. So that gave me a little bit of a reassurance. Okay, I'm on track, even if it's not going the way I thought it would go, but I did it in response to a higher calling. So that kept me steady. And again, really, it's like knowing who I am, where I've been called to be. If you're not clear on your identity, if you don't know who God has called you to be, it's very easy to get very discouraged because there's so many voices out there. I'm clear on what I want and who I am, but I still get discouraged. When I look at what other people are doing, when for instance, I have coaches doing certain things or guiding me through certain stages, when they are trying to direct me towards a certain path, I start to get a bit discouraged or lose my confidence when it's not in alignment with what God has called me to do. So when I sense that, I know that I need to stop and I need to say, okay, let's take a break. I know that this is where the money is, but this is not aligning.
This is not aligning.
It's not aligning. So there's just so many different things to it, but I think it's just, getting clarity on who you are, trying to stay true to that, and knowing that even when the middle parts are hard, that there's an end goal in mind that you're working towards. Stay flexible, stay humble, and just keep pushing and keep fighting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this episode, this discussion is coming at such a vital time, especially with the way our sector is. So many changes are happening, and with the recent one, which I'm not going to mention, but with the most recent one that has thousands and thousands of people out of jobs, and most importantly, you have millions of beneficiaries of people that we had, would I say sworn, of people that we had committed to work with and impact their lives. Now everyone, literally, it seems like everyone is just hanging. So both from the perspective of development practitioners and also from the perspective of people that need to be reached. And it's really sad. But then your words of just, staying humble, getting back in touch with God, which I would like to frame as getting back to your core, to just find who you are really. And that thing again of defining our identity. We're having a little chat earlier before we started this session, and I was saying how it is so easy for us, as human beings, to define ourselves by what we do, especially when you are very passionate. And the example I was sharing with Hauwa was the fact that I have always been passionate about working with children. And at a point in my life, I discovered early childhood education, and I made it my whole identity. And if you would leave me, my name would be Toby Early Childhood Education or something. But then while I'm still within the education space, I am not practicing anything remotely close to early childhood education. And so it's just that thing also about being flexible. So these are like words on a marble. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, there's something that I want you to touch on, definition of impact. As development practitioners, we have the tendency to define impact in a particular way. So especially for those of us that work on the field. So it's either you're thinking impact with regards to the number of learners or children you're able to bring back into the classroom, the number of learners that have reached this particular learning outcome. Or if you are a health practitioner, you're thinking, the number of people that have access to this particular medication and things like that. And for you as an accountant, definitely you saw impact like in a different way. Like, do you want to shed more light on it? And how has the definition of impact changed for you over the years? And do you still feel you're making impact? So that's like 3 questions rolled in one.
Okay, I'll try to answer them.
Thank you.
Right. So my last role in a structured development organization was finance manager. So I was really focused on managing the resources, like making sure that the money that's being spent out is done in an efficient, effective, and economical way. So for me, that was impact. It's like we know we have a certain budget. Are we making sure that we're spreading that budget out and it's touching lives? Now, for me, I was in a very removed situation in comparison to you down on the field. But when it comes down to impact for me in that space, it was like, because for us, it's like, we know that this money is taxpayers' money, right? So it was really important that everything that we're spending, we're not doing it in a very careless, cavalier way. This is not money that we're working for. This is money that has been given to us as stewards. So that was impact for me, is like making sure that we're stewarding the money properly. In terms of like what impact means to me now, when you were asking me that question, I just kept thinking it's about really moving the needle forward. Right? That can mean different things in different ways, in different seasons. Now, for people that are struggling right now, that have perhaps lost their funding and just don't know what to do with themselves, it's like, what is impact to you in this moment? Just take a pause and figure out who you are. That's still impact. Because when you have a good understanding of your identity and what it is that you've been called to do, there are many opportunities for you to take that and do something useful with it. If you've been, for instance, in the education space, like you say, you've been working on a program that perhaps focuses on girl children or the girl child. Now you're no longer in a structured system, but you still know you've taken that time and you've thought about it, and you know this is how you still want to make impact. You're driving on the street and you see a girl child hawking. there's an opportunity for impact. Then your mind starts to think about, how can I take this opportunity? How can I impact this one girl child and make her life slightly better so that she has a brighter future?
Yes.
Perhaps you see those kids, those Almajiri children. I see them on the streets all the time, and my heart breaks for them because it seems like there's really no future. This is it. If this is something that really pulls at your heart, how can I make an impact? Does it mean that I need to either go to a different state and speak to some of the imams and find out how we can incorporate a little bit of education into the system that they already have? There's myriad of opportunities. It's just moving the needle forward and being true to yourself, because that is so important. You don't want to just copy what somebody else is doing.
Yes.
There's so many people doing so many different things. But if you're what they call unique proposition, I can't remember the...
I think there's something about unique proposition or something, like what makes you stand out.
Yes, and it's not about just finding a way to like get money from people or donors. It's about being true to you. It sounds very wishy-washy sometimes when you think about it in terms of all the things that's going on. But if you can really draw into yourself and understand yourself, so that even when transitions happen, it doesn't throw you off as much as it would, because you still know your core. You still know who you are. You still know what you're about. And do I think that I'm still making impact? Absolutely. I think I'm making more impact than I've ever made in my whole life. I'm doing so many things that I never dreamt of doing. And I'm reaching so many people that I never dreamt I would reach. So this is just kind of, I guess, like an encouragement for anyone that's struggling right now and doesn't feel like they know what they're about. If I can do it, so can you. Absolutely, so can you. You've just got to be willing to push through those sucky middle moments. You've got to be willing to sit down with yourself. It's really hard because you want to get distracted. You want to play on your phone. You're afraid of what that process of sitting down with yourself will reveal. But I can guarantee you that if you take that time, you'll find something actually worthy. Yes. Absolutely.
Wow. Hauwa, I mean, it's really, really good. Like, just listening to you and, and all you are saying, like, thank you so much. I mean, it's so profound. So, as someone that has experienced these much transitions, and I know they're not going to stop because that's life.
Absolutely.
That's life. Would you say that you were ever fully prepared for this transition, or did you just learn as you went through them?
No, there's no way to be fully prepared for the transition. I think that if you get to a point where you're fully prepared, then you've moved too late. That's just the honest truth.
Okay.
Yes, because change is constant, and change requires some sort of courage. And you don't require courage if it's not something that's a bit scary to you.
Absolutely.
And if it's not a bit scary to you, then, like I said, you've moved too late. So for people that are in those positions where perhaps there was a warning in their minds that they needed to shift, but they did not, I hope that this lesson can be something that you take forward in the future, so that when you start to sense that something is shifting, something is changing, that you listen to that voice, so that you can start to prepare yourself. Now, like I said, you can't not be fully prepared, but if you're wise, if you're open to the nudges and to the trends, beyond even just your internal nudges, like, are you paying attention to the global trends? Because the honest truth is that we've been seeing the signs for years. Yeah. Right? From 2019, 2020, even before the COVID, there was already changes in the way the budgets were being released.
Absolutely.
Budgets were getting cut so much. We were constantly having to say, oh, I'm sorry, we can't do this, we can't do that.
My goodness, yeah.
So there's been signs. We understand that, what has happened now seems very drastic and seems very sudden, but there's been signs. So if you pay attention to the signs, then perhaps you can be more adaptable, more in an advantageous position where you can move quickly and set yourself up for success.
Yeah. And, I mean, just to lean in more to what you're saying, I remember, while I was working in the humanitarian context, and even in my current role, I've had a lot of older colleagues, sit down and unwillingly offer advice, and they keep saying that even before what happened, they keep saying that, you have to prepare for the future, you have to think of what next to do, you have to build more skills, you have to think about these things, or you have to open up yourselves for more opportunities, and so many things. For example, now when we take Nigeria, because we are both Nigerians and we've lived and worked in Nigeria, you take Nigeria as a case study. No one ever thought that we're going to be in a humanitarian crisis in northeast Nigeria. I am personally from one of the northeastern states that has been hit hard by this, and never in my life would I have thought that we would actually get to a point whereby we're going to have this level of insecurity, so many children out of school, and then we had to depend on aid and the likes of it for support. And I never thought that we would ever be in this situation. And just being in the constant state of preparation and watching and listening, actually puts you in an advantage, or even just prepares you. Because sometimes the advantage isn't that you're not going to get impacted by it. The advantage would be that maybe you have a nest egg that you can fall back to, or you have something else to do by the side. And I think that really helps. So thank you for that. So can you just share practical things that people can do? So, because at the beginning you talked about intentionality, and even right now, you still alluded to that fact of, when you watch, when you follow the trends and the rest, you can also prepare. And also when you listen to the nudgings, because everyone have that sense of nudging in one way or the other. So if you can just share probably 3-4 strategies that people, development practitioners, even those that have not been impacted by anything, what can they do to prepare for transitions in the future?
So I've been saying this over and over again. It's like spending time with yourself, because when I listen to myself speak now and talk about paying attention to the trends and all of that, that can seem very, I don't even know the best word to say, but if it's something that you're not passionate about, you don't really care about, it feels like just another thing to tick. And if you're doing that, you're not going to really be able to take advantage of the situation. So I think it goes back to making sure that you're spending time with yourself and you know what it is that you are about, so that it comes from a place of passion, it comes from a place of intentionality. And so looking out for the trends doesn't feel like another job, another routine thing that I need to do.
They said I should do it, let me do it.
So because if you're doing it that way, then it's just a waste of time. So going back to, I find that that's the most practical thing that I can tell you to do. Is making sure that you know what you're about, who you are. There's no substitute for that. And once you do, it's keeping doing a little bit of research. I think everyone needs to be a good researcher. Spend time looking online. Don't be lazy. Okay, let's just say that's the second thing. Don't be lazy. Do not be lazy. Don't switch off on your life. Don't be on autopilot in your life. Take the driver's seat. Design the life that you actually want to live. I know that in a country like Nigeria, it can feel like that sounds like a bit of a luxury. And perhaps it is. But you also deserve that luxury.
Absolutely.
No matter what stage of life that you are in, no matter who you are. If you can be intentional about designing that life, when the opportunities come, you are more aware. You are more willing to position yourself to take hold of those opportunities. Because when you design that life, you are mindful of the things that you need to work on. You know that, okay, if I want to have this certain life, I need to actually have a master's, or I need to have a PhD, or I need to know about knowledge management, or I need to know about monitoring and evaluation. And when you are aware of the gaps, then you can start to put those stop gaps in place. You can take the training that you need. You can speak to someone in the office that can mentor you. There's so many different things that you can do, and you don't need to have money for all of it. You can just speak to people they'll start putting an eye out for you, or you just draw close to them so that you are in their space and you're listening to them, you're learning from them. So the first thing is, be intentional about who you are. Don't be lazy. Design the life that you want, and then be willing to take the steps to make that into reality. Those are key things that I think that can work across every different sector.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, and they do work and apply across different sectors. So now we've really had a wonderful time. I have personally enjoyed our conversations, and
Same.
there's that part of my heart that is just ignited. And yeah, so just to begin to round up our conversations, right? What mindset shifts have you had or embraced that made, this whole transition and change and pivot journey easier? Because I know that it hasn't been easy. But yeah, so what mindset shift have you had to embrace?
Yeah, I had to sit up because I think the biggest mindset shift is realizing that I really am that girl. Yes. And so are you. If you're a man,
I love it.
You're a woman, whatever. You really are that person. You don't need to cower. You don't need to try to be anybody else but yourself. I know it's scary. I absolutely understand. It is scary. But it is absolutely worth the journey of coming to a good understanding of your authority, of your identity, of your self-worth, of the fact that you have a value to offer to this world. Nobody else has that value. Honestly, you might look like somebody else, but your unique experiences, your unique upbringing, your unique everything about you that makes you you is actually a solution to a problem.
Yes.
You've just got to put in that time, understand who you are, and do the work to refine any areas that are blunt. Sharpen your edge. And be willing to step into those rooms. There's going to be opportunities. Take them. You'll be afraid, but that's okay. Take them anyways. So that's the biggest mindset shift, is I am that girl.
Yes, absolutely. I love
Even through the
it.
transitions, you're not coming into any new space as a blank page. You're coming in with some experience. Even if you're just out of university, the fact that you've been to uni already has kind of given you some sort of understanding, some sort of training.
Yes.
Even if you're still in university, the fact that you've been through life a little bit and you've done some things, it gives you an edge. Find it and use it. So understanding that you actually have value to offer. Don't be like anybody else. Please don't dull your shine. Be true to yourself. You really are that person. You really are. Yeah.
I'm that person.
You are.
Right now, I just feel jumping on this chair and saying I am that person. I am that girl. Thank you. Thank you, Nana Hauwa. This has been so wonderful. So, do you have any final words for people who are currently in transition? I mean, this conversation for me has been so rich and deep. I am personally going to take out the time to just sit down and listen, because these are not words, they're not empty words. They are words spoken from the depth of who you are, your journey, your experiences, and also the wisdom, that comes from interacting with the Spirit of God and all, so I do not take it for granted. And I also love conversations, because I know that as we're talking, apart from the fact that we're both shaping and shifting mindset here and things like that, people are going to listen to this, and there's going to be difference in their lives, so the past 30 or 40 minutes, that is what we've been doing. But I just want to check also if there's still something remaining in the bucket, because you've poured out everything. Do you still have something, just final words for people that are going through transitions?
Don't do it alone. There's power in community. There's power in having like-minded people around you. It's a journey. It's a long journey. And it gets easier if you have the right people around you. So don't do it alone. In line with being authentic to yourself, as you grow in that mental state, you start to attract the right people to you, because they will see in you something that they recognize in themselves, which is another reason why it's so key to be yourself, because you really don't want to be around people that don't actually like you or want anything to do with you. So don't do it alone. You need community, you need like-minded people, and you need coaches and mentors. I know that it sounds sometimes like this person is saying aspire to perspire. But it's not. The top athletes, the top business executives all have coaches. So if you really want to get to the top and you really want to you really want to rein into that or tap into that like excellent spirit within you and really squeeze out all the giftings that's in your heart, you need someone to guide you. You need someone that's been there, someone that has struggled and has overcome those hurdles, so that they give you tips and you're not wasting time. There's a coach at every price level, so
Yes.
don't worry. You will find someone that can guide you. So it's really important. Don't do it by yourself. And understand that it's a long journey. And then the final thing is, there's going to be people that tell you that you're doing too much, or that who you are is not enough, or that who you are is too soft or too hard, or too young or too old. But you are exactly who you need to be. And so you don't need to squeeze yourself, or you don't need to make yourself any bigger than you already are. Get comfortable hearing nonsense from people, but don't take it to heart. That's why you need that community. That's part of why you need the mentors and the coaches. People that can see you for who you are and are willing to give you words of encouragement and inspire you. Don't stay small, in a sense that don't get comfortable. If you surround yourself with people that have gone ahead of you, it will ignite in your heart, in your spirit, a desire to be more and to do more in line with who you are. Please don't try to be anybody else. So those are my final words. And I hope and I pray that as you listen to what I've said, that it really gives you an encouragement and that it sparks a fire in you, because we need your fire. My own fire is not enough, and neither is Toby's. We need your fire. Don't dim it. God bless you. Thank you.
Wow. You guys. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.
I mean, just having you here with us, despite the fact that you had a very tight schedule, means a lot. But also just sharing very openly and vulnerably. I remember the first podcast, first episode I had to record. What I promised our audience is that what they're going to have is honest and vulnerable discussions. And this is a privilege that I do not take for granted. So thank you. Thank you. I mean, I don't know how you feel, but at this point, I am both ignited and I am also hopeful. And I am also, inspired to just keep pushing for authenticity and working in my full identity. But also beyond that, just preparing, taking that stance of preparation. And one of the things that she mentioned is that preparation is also a form of preparation can also be being sharp or staying sharp in your role, your current role. Do what you're supposed to do it well, right? And stay malleable, stay flexible, be intentional about your life. Like the word that kept on coming to me as we were having this discussion was catch the wind or something like that. Like, or is it prepare for the wind? When a sailor, they're about to sail, they set their sails and everything, nothing is left to chance. But they also know that the chances of the journey being treacherous is there. Especially in the olden days when you watch all these old movies, they know that the journey is going to be treacherous, but they do not still leave things to chance. They will still have extra food. They're going to have rafters in case they have a shipwreck. They have everything prepared. And then most times, 9 out of 10, they're going to go into a storm that will wreak havoc, but we're still going to have a couple that will survive. And I really hope that you and I will be part of the survivors because of the tools and things that we have put in place to just prepare, to just stay afloat, So thank you everyone. We know
Can I
the
say
change.
one more thing?
Please, absolutely.
Maybe two. But
please go ahead.
Please take your life seriously. I find that when it comes to us navigating our professional careers, we carry with it a sense of seriousness. But when it comes to our own lives, we feel like it's not that serious. But it actually is. Your professional career is just a little bit of your life.
Yes.
So if you are able to take your life as seriously as you do your professional career, you'll do really well. and you'll be able to navigate through all these transitions, because it won't just be that you've spent so much time focusing on the milestones or the outcome indicators or whatever it is that you're using in your workspace. Take those tools that you use in your workspace, the action logs, logical frameworks, take those learnings and put it into your own personal life and create something that's worthy of you. And then the second thing I want to say is I'm actually working on something. I just remembered.
Please go ahead.
I'm working on something. I hope that by the time this airs, that there'll be a link and we'll be able to share it. But I'm really passionate right now about getting people to lean into, I mentioned it several times, their authenticity and their unique giftings, and then taking those things and crafting a business or something that they can use to make money or make their life have impact. So it's something that I'm working on, and I hope that if this is something that really relates to you, that you'll be able to sign up once I share the link. So yes, thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Hauwa. So I'm going to also put up her contacts on Instagram, and where you can just reach out to her on the show notes. So please be on the lookout for it. My people, as my Nigerian people will say, my people, thank you for being part of this wonderful episode. I hope to have you with us again on episode 6. So far, this has been very impactful. Thank you once again, Hauwa. Please, let's keep this conversation going. Interact with us through our LinkedIn page, our Twitter page, Instagram. That is all at the Development Conversations. And you can also reach out to us via email. We really want to hear from you. We want to get your feedback. And if you have questions or even have areas that you want us to talk about, please reach out to us. Our email is as a developmentconversations@gmail.com. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Let people know the good that you're enjoying from this podcast. So for now, this is bye from me. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Wow, Hauwa, this has been so good.